What's going on, everyone? This is John, the Wolf of Ecom, and in this video, I'm going to be interviewing one of my good friends that is going to show you a new way of doing dropshipping that's going to allow you to do it with $0 down out of pocket, which is super exciting. This is one of the coolest methods I've seen when it comes to dropshipping, and a great way for people to get started that just don't have a lot of capital, don't have a lot of cash, don't have access to credit. So make sure to check this out. Listen to the whole interview. There's tons of gold nuggets in here. Let's get started. We are live. I'm here with my man, Brian from Tech Money Talks.
What's up, everybody?
We got some cool stuff to share with you. Brian and I actually connected pretty recently on Clubhouse. He had me on his YouTube channel. We're reciprocating and sharing through our Facebook group, actually live simultaneously, about really cool way he does dropshipping that I've literally never seen before. And it requires $0 in advertising spend, which is super exciting. So we're going to learn about him. We're going to learn about his method and just kind of chat.
Yeah.
Commerce.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm excited about it for sure. And, you know, the way we had a chance to connect on Clubhouse, I think was awesome. You know, John, yourself, you've been dropping a lot of value there, and I'm glad we had a chance to connect. But, to give a little bit of background about myself and introduce myself, I'm the host of the Tech Money Talks podcast. So for those of you listening, just do a search like, you know, dropshipping podcast, and we should come up. I like to say we're the #1 dropshipping podcast on the planet, and officially sponsored by Spotify and Anchor FM. And it didn't just happen overnight. So even, you know, getting the podcast together, I would say maybe about 3.5 years ago, you know, getting things started related to talking about online business opportunities and technology. And long story short, I decided to realize that I was too broad of a topic. Like, there's many ways to make money online. But I was like, let me just focus on one key area, because I felt like I was just, you know, covering too broad of a topic. So I focused on drop shipping to talk about, and that's when things started to take off. And in the middle of that, that's when, you know, drop shipping itself was really exploding. And I interviewed over 100, I would say, you know, $1 million producers in drop shipping, majority of them doing Shopify drop shipping. And it's really taken off. So like in the beginning, when I started applying to like actually get listed on Shopify's platform, I remember initially, like, you know, I was denied. Initially, they only had like just like the really big name podcasts that were there. And that's when Spotify was just getting started with introducing podcasts onto the platform. But then, you know, not giving up on the first no. So I think I maybe applied 2 more times afterwards. They accepted on I think the 3rd try. And shortly after that, like I said, you know, maybe about a year into it, that's when they decided to officially sponsor the podcast, which is pretty cool. So, you know, kind of having that journey related to the podcast, I think was pretty awesome. But my reason for doing it was really just to like give back. So I've been around since the .com boom, and we're talking like, you know, the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s, and, you know, back when, you know, Amazon was just selling books, you know. And I had shared the story when we last talked, and maybe it's good for the audience here. Like, when I first got started, I mean, I was more of a technology guy. And back during that time, you know, the .com boom, there was a bubble at that time. So there's the .com bubble that bursted, and a lot of people were laid off. And I had a good friend of mine. He works for a telecom company, and I guess I won't mention the name of it, but it has 2 T's in it. So for the audience listening, you might know which telecom company it is. They laid off thousands of people, and he was one of them. And he reached out to me. I mean, he had a wife and 2 daughters, and he basically said, he's like, Brian, I'm not finding a job. And I've been searching, but I do have a connection. He was from France, and he's like, I have a connection to sell GSM cell phones. And as those were like international cell phones at the time. And he said, can you build me an e-commerce store so I could try selling this? And I said, sure. And this was like, you know, this was way back then. This is before there was a Shopify, even before, or maybe just about that time when like there was like Yahoo Store that was coming out. So this is like way back in the day. Yeah, for sure. So, I actually, coded an e-commerce platform because I was already doing it for myself, did it for him. But long story short, he started selling, and he was selling to other cell phone stores that you would see at like at the strip malls. So he was selling like 100 Nokias of this, or 200 Sony Ericssons of that, and he was getting a lot of sales. So long story short, this became his livelihood, and me watching that was just like, wow, something that I helped him get into the e-commerce game. It became his livelihood, and eventually he was able to use that money to actually open up his own physical cell phone store. And then he opened the second one in LA, and he moved out there, and he's been living it up ever since. But to see that was like a insight and an impact for me. Like, one is like, okay, one, this can actually change people's lives and become people's livelihood. One, that I can do it, and that two, that it was just so impactful. So I was just like, okay, this is something that I want to continue doing, not only for myself, but also to like help others. And I think it's just a great thing, getting into that space for sure.
I think it's cool you kind of went through not exactly the same story or journey as me, but I'm not sure if I mentioned I started. So I have my gym. I learned Facebook ads out of necessity to grow my gym and bring a new business, and then I started offering like local lead generation at the networking groups, other business owners, and a lot of business owners don't get it because there's a whole sales process you need in place, which a lot of them just don't have. So you could get them all the leads that they want, but if they don't know what to do with them, you're just an expense on their balance sheet, right? So
yeah,
I actually came across in early 2017, I came across these girls at that same networking event. They were actually there on behalf of their day job, but they had a business they had started in their 5 to 9, I guess you could say, selling this really unique product for nails, right? So they were one of the first movers back in 2016, 2017 on nail dip powder, okay, which is now a super saturated market, but they still had that first mover advantage. And when I saw that with just simple ad strategies that I use for my gym, I applied to their brand. They were just hitting that boosted post button that basically just burns your money.
Yeah.
Even then, it was still a waste of money. Not as much as now. But what was cool was I just applied some simple ad strategies, and we took them from 5 to 10K a month to over $100,000 on their third month we worked together. Now they do over $1 million a month in sales, and it is 100%. Well, 100% of the new business is basically Facebook ads. Obviously, they get a ton of referrals, repeat business, but that opened my eyes up, because I had this frame of local business, what was possible there. It was incredible to see what was possible with e-commerce. So I kind of saw it through someone else's journey too,
That's great, man. And to see that, I seen how it's evolved because, especially with the number of people that I've interviewed, there's young and old that are in the e-commerce space. And for the young ones that are entering in, or people that are just getting familiar with it, the concept of drop shipping has been around for the longest time, and it's been around before Shopify. So like Shopify didn't bring, drop shipping into the space. And, one other story that I could share, and it was actually kind of like one of my first drop shipping stories, which was like, I was drop shipping cigars. So this is how early in e-commerce, because like a way to picture it is like, we remember recently how cryptocurrency and trading and governments were quickly trying to regulate to catch up with the trend. This is how e-commerce was back then during the dot-com boom. So e-commerce was taking off. The sales of tobacco products over the internet was one of the things that they were yet to regulate. And so I started setting up, drop shipping agreements with these, branded cigars. So Cohibas, Don Diego's, Aston Martin's, all these things, created this site. I called it Upscale Cigars, and I made it look, really nice, rich wood, old rich white guy smoking a cigar, or sexy woman smoking a cigar. And but long story short, the site was meant to look real fancy and nice. People didn't come there just to buy a single cigar. People would come there to buy a case of cigars. And I would say, to relate it to today, I would say this would probably be treated like a high ticket sales, because each single cigar is anywhere from $10 to $20 for a single cigar. So each sale was in the hundreds of dollars for a case, and some people were buying multiple cases. But long story short, things were going really good until, like, I think there was a really large order from Beverly Hills, and that's what sparked an inquiry from my internet merchant that said, what are you selling? And I said, cigars. And they said, oh, well, we don't allow the processing, credit card processing of tobacco products. And I said, oh yeah, I didn't know that. So they said, you're gonna have to find another internet merchant. And at that time, I had other things that were popping off at the time with my technology company and things like that. So I didn't take that any further. As you've seen how e-commerce has evolved, now there's regulations to try to even get into that space. I don't think, you could really do that. There's state by state, regulations for that thing now. But
by the advertising platforms before your ads go live anyway. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So things have changed, things have evolved, and it's just like just an amazing thing. So it gives that level of appreciation to see where things have started from to where things are at now, because we'll see things that change. I mean, even, we think recently people were like, is dropshipping dead? Or, I don't think it's ever going to die. It's just going to continue to evolve, is kind of my opinion.
That's the word, man. And like, we were having a conversation around because I still run traditional dropshipping, general stores, Facebook ads, now a lot of Pinterest ads. And I mean, I've found workarounds for Facebook, but it's slow. It's a slow process to rebuild your systems and your profiles, and, which I think that there's two sides to it, because it's created this barrier of entry that wasn't there. There was basically no barrier of entry from 2017 to 2019. You can open a Shopify store with $0 down. You can create a Facebook business manager and basically start advertising products you have no inventory for overnight. Your only expense is what you start spending on ads, which is great because it helped really fuel the industry, get a lot of people. I mean, I've seen some people literally change their lives. It's amazing. Like I think one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Well, my business partner, he's in his early 20s. He just graduated from university in Argentina, and he moved from Argentina and opened a franchise here with his profits from his e-commerce store. So like, wow. That's just, I mean, to get out of a highly disadvantaged economic situation in a developing country. I believe Argentina would be labeled as developing. I'm probably politically incorrect, but I'm doing my best here. And at that young of age, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like good luck. 10 years ago, good luck, man. Like, good luck finding your way out of Argentina and have an opportunity in the US to start a business in your early 20s with capital that like you earned. That's just not going to happen. So yeah. I saw another guy 2 years ago I met in Miami. He actually was from Venezuela, and he had fled or just moved. I don't know why he came here in the first place, but he was a pizza boy, probably in his late 20s. And then he got into drop shipping and learned how to just hack the Facebook algorithm to maximize profit at scale. And I mean, the dude's set now. Like, he's a super successful guy in e-commerce. So I love this industry. I love everything about it,
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I've seen that's changed over the past, like, maybe I say, 5 years, is that now these tools have come together, and the outreach, meaning getting in front of eyeballs, has become more sophisticated. So a combination of that, just like you said, it's lowered the barrier of entry, and for those that are picking up on it, I mean, it's literally at our fingertips. It's like, for anybody that wants to get started and is persistent enough to learn and push through that. I mean, you can act, prior to like the past I'd say, 5 years, you'd have to be, some big corporation to get in front of like, millions of eyeballs. But now you have it at your fingertips. You'd have to be some big corporation to have the technology, to have, the e-commerce, the platform all put together, looking nice, like some big corporation. Now it's at your fingertips. And, so to be able to do that now is just like, I mean, anybody who's, has an interest to do that is just like, the bar is just so low, but there's a lot of things to learn and to put together. I also try to, and this is part of the point of the podcast as well, which is like, there's a great opportunity, but also far too often I see people get kind of scammed in the industry. Also, like many other industries, right? I mean, it sounds like a get rich quick scheme. You see some like, Lambo gurus that are teaching this, and then all of a sudden they're selling like a, $3,000 course. But I see this happen far too often, where sadly, like the typical Shopify dropshipper will, spend that kind of money on somebody's course. Then they'll spend money on multiple stores. They'll spend money on ads, and at the end of the day, they didn't have any results to show for it. And it's kind of a really sad thing to see. And that's what also kind of inspired me to start looking for opportunities. What's an opportunity to get people to get their feet wet? And that's when I was exploring things. I was like, well, what can really get people going? And that's when we started talking about like the Facebook marketplace drop shipping, where it's just like, okay, now, it really doesn't, take money to make money anymore. And so that myth that most people think like, I need to, spend money on this and learn all the technicals now at our fingertips to get in front of, thousands of eyeballs, to list the product and things like that. You can pretty much do it from your phone for free, and then actually get some sales, get some experience with customers. And seeing this come through has like been a really, really awesome thing that I've seen that's come to fruition and helped a lot of people that get started in e-commerce.
Where did the idea come from? Because like I've gone so heavy on paid traffic, and since Facebook has given us the utmost challenges I've ever seen since coming to drop shipping and e-commerce, I've made a big pivot to Pinterest ads where I've been having success. But nonetheless, there is still that barrier of entry. Like, let's just say someone actually is living paycheck to paycheck. They don't even have credit, right? Like, so not saying that that's the only person that your program is perfect for, but that's someone that's a great example where it just would not make sense unless they wanted to go get a loan or borrow a bunch of money to start testing with advertising, which may not work out, because that's really the risk. You don't have a bunch of inventory, which is nice, but you run the risk with your money. You're literally putting your money on the line. So where did this like crazy idea that you came up with that works extremely well, where was it born from? How did you come?
Yeah. So there's kind of a story behind that. One of it is kind of seeing that typical drop shipper that would fall through that scenario. That was one motivation. The second one is like, I'm always trying to apply what I call design thinking out of the box, looking at different platforms, different strategies to see where is there an opportunity, where is there a gap. It initially started with the concept of what I had started. It was like maybe about 3.5 years ago when I called it. I called it Dropship by phone. So I was like, okay, let me see if you could just do this, just completely from your phone. It was more of a challenge for myself. I was like, let's see if we could just not use a computer, but you could drop ship just right from your phone and take the same products that you would list on like Shopify, but then, post it to a marketplace, and Facebook being one of them. So in doing that, it actually worked, and you could actually do it in minutes, which is just like, take the product, you're basically doing like a Facebook post or a listing, and it's like from pictures to title, you price it and you put it out there. and it worked, and it started working. And I was just like, wow, the number of sales that was coming through was in the hundreds of dollars per day. So I was just like, man, this is actually pretty cool. So then I was like, let me share this with others that are interested, because, if learning the technicals of, setting up a Shopify store, the technicals of Facebook ads, it's something to achieve. I recommend everybody learn to do those things. But if you're just looking to get your feet wet, I was just like, okay, this makes it easier. You could do it right from your phone. You don't even have to have a computer. And that worked. Now we fast forward to today. I basically is basically evolved to what we call drop posting. And it's basically Facebook Marketplace, selling on Facebook Marketplace with drop shipping. And that approach now, where, using your computer. And here's what's happened recently, which is Facebook is now getting in the game deeper of e-commerce. So with what they call the shipping option, they now enabled the buy button. So there's a buy button in Facebook Marketplace now, and Facebook payments is in place. So like Facebook acts as like the middleman or the escrow that's collecting the payments, and then will deposit what they collect for you after you confirm the shipping. Yeah.
How do you unlock that? Because I've sold stuff on Facebook and I can't figure out how to unlock it from my own account.
Yeah. So that's the real thing, is like, you got to earn it at this point. So it's something that started maybe about 2, almost 3 months ago. Currently it's opened in the United States, and then Facebook has like its own like algorithm for which accounts they're going to unlock it for. And I think you just have to like earn it, and earning it means by having some history, having some activity of being a seller related to the marketplace. So one is to start doing listings. 2, I would say, join like your local garage sale groups. So there's like local seller groups. You join, maybe a good, 10, groups in the area, so that even when you're doing listings, you can now list in the groups. And as you start doing listings and posts, Facebook's going to pick up on that activity. And I think before you know it, all of a sudden you now have that feature in place, which is there. So it's something that you have to earn. And I got a feeling that probably because, like I said, when I was, using it for the purpose of doing it by phone about, 3.5 years ago, but I think there's a lot of people now that are getting that. But I would say activity is probably the best way to try to accelerate that process. Set up Facebook payments, even set up your business manager account, and but then start doing listings, start joining groups, things like that.
So give us some bullet points on what you're teaching in the course, and like what's different. Obviously there's no ad spend we're putting on the marketplace versus a Shopify store, but what else should people know, and like, why should people be interested that have been thinking about doing drop shipping or are just fed up with Shopify and Facebook ads?
Yeah. So like the way I like to break it down is like, what we're cutting out in this process is like, you're no longer spending money on ads to get, eyeballs to view your product. You're basically getting free traffic at this point. And so the focus is more on like your product research and the listings that you have in place. So, and even if you don't have the shipping option and the buy button, I wouldn't get discouraged, because like, I mean, this has only been around for, maybe 2-3 months. But prior to that, like I said, even utilizing Messenger, taking payments through PayPal, taking payments through other third-party things, or even, referring people, if you do have a Shopify store, it makes it real easy just to like send them to your store if you already have the same products that are on there.
I was going to say, could you create, like, if you want to kind of hustle it at first, which you basically have to do, there's no buy now button. you could have that conversation and then direct them to your Shopify store if you wanted to also.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I would say for those listening, if you do have a store in place and it's the same products that you're listing in the marketplace, then it becomes a quick conversation and the conversation happens in Messenger. So you would just, refer them, hey, you can send them that link to your product page in your store. They can purchase it right there. But then also they're going to see, hopefully, like a catalog, other options that they can purchase from. So even as a leeway into there, I mean, it really helps, bring, I guess, traffic into your store as well. So that type of activity would be helpful. So I like to break it down into like 5 steps. One being product research. And in the product research, there's many ways, just like in Shopify dropshipping, you're searching for different things like this. But one of the things that people don't realize is that you can also look for other sources of suppliers, and you really want to look for more US shipping suppliers for your products. So in this space, this is where you want to be willing to leverage Amazon, leverage Walmart, leverage eBay, even leverage, other people have strategies of leveraging like Home Depot, other retailers. When you find certain products that have really good price and a good shipping, then you use what's called retail arbitrage. So it's drop shipping, but it's basically because you found a product at a really good price and you can sell it at a retail price and you keep the difference. Now, here's the reason why it works on Facebook Marketplace, because you might say, well, hey, if they're selling it cheap on eBay, why would they buy from me on Facebook Marketplace? There's a reason for that. And this is why it works, is because eBay shoppers and even Amazon shoppers are what I call calculated shoppers. They're searching for the product. And upon searching, they're a little bit more calculated as like, what's the price? They're interested. They're already like price comparison, and they're really clear about what they want, and they're going to try to get the cheapest price that they can. When it comes to marketplace, and similar to like, in Shopify dropshipping, the Facebook ads, it's more of an impulse buyer, not a calculated buyer. It's an impulse that they happen to be scrolling through the feed or scrolling through the marketplace, and boom, this product catches their eye. The title catches their eye or something like that. That impulse buyer, they're not necessarily, they're comfortable paying, the suggested retail price because they were really attracted to the product and they want to make a purchase right there. So that's the reason why it works. And you can use that type of retail arbitrage, leveraging eBay, leveraging even Amazon. There's another tip that I share with people, which is like, most people don't realize that if you use the option in Amazon to send as gift mode, so if you use the send as gift mode, then Amazon will not show your name. It won't show where it came from, and it won't show your purchase price. So it's basically just a packing slip, and the customer will get the product right away. And it's a really great option so that now you can leverage, the power of Amazon and all these products that they have. And you have that ability to use retail arbitrage to send and sell products to your customers on Facebook Marketplace, which is pretty cool.
So you're basically tapping into the same audience that you will be tapping into for the most part if you're running ads to the news feed or marketplace, wherever your placement was, right?
Yeah.
The difference is you're giving up. So let's say like I sell something, cost me 10, I sell it for 30, cost me, let's say at best $10 to make a sale in ads. So that's 30 minus 10. So $10 is left over in profit, right? Whereas that same $30 product on my Shopify store, I could probably, like what you're saying, I could probably go to Amazon and find it for 20, right? That's usually Amazon's always cheaper, but that's not our competition. That's a different kind of buyer. So with this, we're putting in the time and labor per se, instead of risking the ad spend that may not actually convert. And the difference is that maybe that your margin probably is similar to what it would be with ads.
Yeah.
It's just you don't have a machine scaling for you with just budgets increasing and duplicating.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Great way to put it.
What's been some of the challenges that your students have seen? Like what's the limitations with scaling? What are some of the other things that they've had to overcome and work through, just like they would if they were doing with ad spend?
Yeah, definitely. Right? So a handful of things that students are looking to overcome. One is the hopes of getting the shipping option, the buy button, and you really just got to earn that with activity. Two is also for those that do have the buy button, because it's so new, Facebook tries to programmatically identify the shipping. So they want you to apply a tracking number in about 3 days, and they use 3 carriers. It's USPS, FedEx, and UPS. So in some cases, so say you have a supplier, or say you did use Amazon, sometimes Amazon uses their fulfillment with their own logistics. So it's Amazon delivery, and Amazon has their own tracking number, not USPS, not FedEx, not UPS. So kind of the workaround is, I've been applying the tracking number and just setting it to FedEx. The payout still comes through. It takes a little bit longer because it doesn't programmatically pick up that it was delivered. But it just takes a little bit longer. But then again, it's not something that you want to continue to do. So that's where, okay, maybe you want to find an alternate supplier, look on eBay, look at another source that is hopefully using one of the shipping, carriers that Facebook is looking to use. So, the top 3 carriers, but I think this is kind of like a new, because, this whole, buy button in Facebook marketplace is new and they have the 3 carriers. When they use the 3 carriers, then things happen programmatically. They know that it's delivered because they can, through, coding language, just see that, okay, the thing was delivered when USPS said it was delivered. And then you get your payout. The payout happens like 5 days after the confirmed delivery. So this is the other thing that people need to be mindful of. I see a lot of students that when they come through here, one is like they're really hoping, like, man, I really hope this works for me. But they quickly go from, man, I hope this works, to like, oh, shoot, now I got sales. Now what? Because you're getting a bunch of sales. The thing is, you want to actually be mindful of controlling the number of sales, because you need to have enough money to process the orders, because you're going to collect the money back about 5 days after delivery.
It's back from traditional drop shipping with ads, where you collect up front and you pay out to your supplier after.
Correct. Yeah.
So if someone
that's
has cash, they're good. They could float it, basically, right?
Yeah. So it's carrying costs to be mindful of. The cool thing about it is it's like, it's not like you're buying an inventory of products hoping it's going to sell. It's basically, you got a sale, and say if it, the wholesale, costed you that $10, or maybe it's $15, but you sold it for $30. So now you got anywhere from, $20 to $15 that's going to be coming to you in profit, but it's going to come to you 5 days later. So it's definitely worthwhile, doing it, but you need to be mindful of, how much money do you have, to fill orders, especially if you're just getting started. And because just like Shopify drop shipping, when you find that winning product, things are just going to take off, and you're going to be really happy, but then you're also going to be, it's going to put you in that mode of like, okay, let me get a handle on this, because you don't want to start, losing orders because you didn't fulfill in a timely manner.
So you can't really have chargeback. So maybe you could, if you're not fulfilling fast enough with the pay button or the buy now button.
So what happens, Facebook will just like cancel the order out. And this is for the scenario of that shipping option buy button. So Facebook has that power because they collected the money. They're the middleman holding the money. And if you didn't enter that it was shipped and the tracking information in the timely manner, then Facebook will cancel the order. So that's a thing to be mindful of as well. If you did things outside of that, that's where you have kind of the leeway of like, okay, almost like, the marketplace was, before, using it as kind of like a drop shipping, platform. It's still, most people, refer to it like a Craigslist like mentality. It's like, I got stuff in the used items in the garage, I'll list it on the marketplace and then sell it, and then things are negotiated, outside of the platform. And that's how it originally runs, and that's how it can still run today. And the way you negotiate payments could go through like PayPal or other, third party cash apps and things like that.
Yeah. So two last questions. I find this stuff so interesting. Question one, have you ever tested applying? So for example, with traditional drop shipping where we're running ads, usually you hit a trending product and it gets scaled. And we find those trending products with tools like AdSpy, if you're familiar with AdSpy, which basically picks up on, whatever's popping off on Facebook with insane growth in the likes, comment, shares, engagement, which usually means that, so if it's going back to a Shopify store, it basically means that they're pumping ad spend behind it because it's selling. Have you ever tested pulling like products that you're seeing are scaled with ads and tested them with this method?
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, like, it doesn't really work the same for some reason. So it's almost like, some of the hot products that were on Shopify are not necessarily hot products in the marketplace.
Could be a local thing too, because the scale it's not the same. You're not targeting individuals throughout the country, or if you do regional, whatever targeting, you're targeting just a radius per se, right?
Yeah. And because it's low competition right now, like, meaning that there's not that many people, selling on the marketplace, that, my listings are getting sales, and even other students, they're getting sales out of state. So like, even though you choose like a local city or a local suburb, you'll find that you got people that are purchasing out of state because there's not enough people listing. And so that's Facebook, like, just trying to cover having, low contribution or activity. Facebook's putting your, listings in front of, thousands of people for free across states because there's low competition right now. And then to go back to like, as far as hot products for Shopify, and is it necessarily hot for marketplace? It's definitely a technique to use. So it's like, like everything else, everything's about testing to see what's going to work. So I would say, similar product research tactics that's being used for Shopify, can be used for marketplace as well. And the name of the game is just like, keep testing. The beauty of it is that you get 10 free listings that you can have active at the same time. So you get 10 free listings that Facebook will then put in front of thousands of eyeballs for free. And when you find the ones that people are interested in, then it's like, okay, keep that going. And then you can also, start swapping out the ones that are not selling for other products. So you keep, the ones that are working, keep them active. You have the option to relist them and keep them, fresh on the list, while at the same time you're still plugging in other products to hopefully get, multiple products that are listing at the same time. Yeah.
So my last question then, scale this bad boy. Theoretically, obviously ad spend's the fastest way, but let's just say we didn't want to, because I'm actually really, I want to do this experiment. Let's just say some guy lives outside of Washington, D.C. Wouldn't be me, of course. Has 2 dogs just like me. Also has his hands on the 50 Facebook profiles from all around the U.S. Theoretically, if this guy wanted to, let's just say his name is Juan, not John. Let's just say he wanted to use all these 50 Facebook profiles to post a listing in their city. Theoretically, that could be 500 listings being tested simultaneously, right?
Yeah. Juan has a great opportunity to get a lot of free money that's coming in for sure. And I think this is kind of like the opportunity where things are at right now. We're at the tip of an opportunity to figure that out, which is okay, how do we scale this thing to really grow what's there. There's some things that I have in the works right now, which there's a company that reached out to me that we're working on some templates right now. And this is all kind of in beta phase right now, but the company is called Chat Fuel. So maybe you heard of their competitor would be ManyChat, if you ever heard of ManyChat before. So this is Chat Fuel, but Chat Fuel, like ManyChat, is e-commerce focused. So they're a automated messenger but with the focus of e-commerce, meaning that a focus of using AI to message streams with the intention to throw in that buy button to purchase. And we're working on templates on that so that the common scenarios that are going through, especially when it comes through, Messenger, is this available? Yes, it is. And there's scripts. So even within the course, things that get covered in there, related to this technique, there's scripts to follow, things that help close the sale, things like that. But to have something like Chat Fuel that can automate the process, because if you have 50 accounts, you're not, maybe you have 50 phones, but
right.
It'll be tough to
that's the challenge, right?
So this is where Chat Fuel can help come in to at least streamline the auto responses of those things and react to how they react to your workflow. So that's literally in the mix right now, and this company is working. I'm working directly with the company right now with the goal of one, proving it out, 2, coming up with the templates, and I'd say 3, I'll reach out to Juan and say, let's even show we could prove that it works out with the 50 accounts. And but yeah, that's definitely in the works. And seeing something like that, I got a feeling, and I was even telling the guys from Chat Fuel this, I was like, man, if we figure out the AI automated templates that go through using Messenger, and it has the buy button capability within the Messenger to encourage people to buy. I was like, that feature is probably better than Facebook's buy button that they just introduced right now, for a couple of reasons. One is that we can scale like we would hope to. 2 is that, because Facebook is still, we're going through those restrictions on the carrier and, things like that, where, getting a purchase that's coming directly where we can choose the payment provider, whether if it's PayPal or Stripe or a store or something like that. At least now the money's coming in, and we're not having these 5-day carrying costs after delivery going through. So it kind of opens things up where I got a feeling if the automation piece is worked out, where it gives the customer the ability to buy, that might be more preferred than the Facebook buy button.
Or even if the software let you, let's say have like some kind of dashboard where I guess like the Facebook API would have you logged in to multiple profiles on one screen. That'd be crazy. You could have 10, 15, 20 personal Facebook, accounts, like just for the chat. I think that'd be super crazy, man. Thinking about it, like in my mind, just knowing how we scale and test with ads really across multiple ad accounts, multiple business managers, multiple profiles. In my mind, I'm seeing, let's say we just started with 10 profiles. That's 10 listings, 100 different products can be tested. You find one or two, and then you kill everything else, and then you basically just roll out those two winners. I mean, that's the thing, is we don't know. I mean, you would know better than me if those same two products will have a similar performance metropolis to metropolis. It just may not. It may be regional, which is fine too. If you're selling in New York City, you're not short of buyers, right? So I think this is cool, man. I'm super excited.
And some of that stuff works. So like even within stuff within the course, there's some opt-ins to buy. Like I'm sharing, some of the products that are selling for me, and I throw that into the course as options as well. So like, giving people a jump start to sell that product, and for some of them it's selling for them as well. But it's really cool to see that, a lot of people are getting success on the first day. And the ones who are getting success on their first day are the ones that are at least taking action. And I saw kind of like a pattern, like, people will message me and tell me that they got sales. And then I find out, ask a little further, and they seem to have that pattern of, I listed 5 products. So it's like they listed 5, the common thing was like they at least listed 5 of products after doing research, what adds good probability. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So like if you just start, putting the listings out there, what I'm seeing from students that are at least getting sales, and we're talking about like the $100 days, some of them are having $1,000 weeks, they're listing. And once you learn the process, it's like real quick. It takes less than maybe 15 minutes once you get comfortable to list the products. It just becomes a numbers game at that point. But I would say it's like, get in that process of listing, and yeah, I mean, there's many people that's been having success with it for sure.
It's cool, man. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm sure a lot of people got something from this. That's why a lot of people just watching this live in our Facebook group or popping in after it's been edited and posted on YouTube this is exactly what they needed, because of whatever good or bad experience they've had with running ads. Maybe they just want to try something different, or they just need a window to get started. This is it. So
yeah. So I'd say I put together like a special offer for those that are interested, and it's for your community. So I knowing that we were going to talk about this today. So for those that are listening, you can go to ecommercewolves.dropposting.com. So we got a special offer there where you can actually, get an opt-in to the course. So it's ecommercewolves.dropposting.com. And that's where you can sign up for a special offer. And then, I think it's a really great thing that's been helping out a lot of people not only get their feet wet. I'd say as a goal, $100 days in profit. So it's like $100 days profit that's there. People are amazed by it. I'm so amazed. Like people like, man, I hope this works, to like, oh shoot, this is working. And now you're in business. Yeah. And it's a great launch pad into e-commerce, and allows you to then hopefully, grow and take the next step further to scale.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll see that. I'm hoping a lot of people take us up on that offer, and I'm sure you'll be more than happy to help them. So we'll have this live on the YouTube channel. This is obviously, or we'll have this recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. We'll link back to Brian and his channel as well. Feel free to connect with him on Facebook or whatever. What's the best way for them to reach you? I should actually ask that.
Yeah, I'd say, do a search, Tech Money Talks or Dropshipping Podcasts, and things will show up for sure. And I'd say keep a lookout. We even got John's podcast episode coming out as well. So Tech Money Talks, you'll find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm also starting to do a little bit more on YouTube. So everything with the tag word Tech Money Talks, and you'd be able to get a hold of me. And I'd say for the audience listening, if there's any questions, feel free to throw a message, and I'll do my best to try to reply back. But yeah, it's really great stuff for sure.
Well, awesome. Thanks, brother. Until next time. All right.
All right, brother. Thanks, man.